It had been 1 year. 1 year since I packed my little car, kissed my family goodbye, and drove into the unknown. New York was mine now, at least in theory. I'd survived nights in Walmart parking lots, eating cheap, working out early in the morning, pushing through exhaustion, and slowly I started to build something. But at the 1 year mark, I had to ask myself, what did I really build? Because, yeah, I had new friends, brothers that stood beside me. I was saving money, working 80-hour work weeks at times, grinding until my bones ached. But in all of that movement, all of that survival, I realized something was missing. I fell in and out of love a couple of times in New York. And listen, whether it was the right reasons or the wrong, or just loneliness wearing a mask, I can't even tell you anymore. But what I do know is this: I never fully dedicated myself to anybody. And maybe that's selfish, or maybe it was the smartest thing I've ever done. Because for the first time in my life, I was dedicating myself to me. See, I had spent so many years sacrificing for somebody else, so many years losing myself just to keep another person whole. And when you do that long enough, when you give away piece after piece after piece of yourself, eventually there's nothing left to give. So yeah, maybe that part of me had died. The part of me that was willing to break myself just to make someone else smile. But maybe it had to. Because in that first year of New York, I was catching up. Catching up on everything that life had stolen from me. I was losing weight, gaining muscle. I was learning, evolving, maturing. I was putting my time, my sweat, my energy into becoming someone my younger self could finally look at and say, that's me. That's the guy I always wanted to be. But at the same time, I felt late. Late to college credits, late to love, late to building the life everyone else seemed to already have figured out. And at the 1 year mark, I sat with that question. Where's the progress? Every time you reach the bar, you raise it. That's what I realized. Every time you touch the finish line, you push it further down the road. Progress isn't about being on time. It's about refusing to stop moving. And that's what that first year had taught me. I wasn't selfish. I wasn't broken. I was preserving myself. I was preparing myself. I was finally becoming myself. But just then, when I thought I was getting ahead, life threw something at me. I had been planning this trip for months, saving money, working extra hours, lining everything up like dominoes, ready to fall into place. I packed up my Subaru, hit the highway, and 4 hours later, just as I crossed into the New York state line into Pennsylvania, everything nearly ended. A truck swerved 70 miles an hour, metal shrieked, tires screamed, and in a single instant, 6 years of perfect driving, 6 years of clean records, no tickets, no accidents, was gone. People tell me I was lucky to be alive, and maybe I wasn't. But in that moment, I didn't feel lucky. I felt shattered. I pulled over into a rest stop, hands shaking, heart racing. My car was bent, the metal folded in on itself. I pushed it all back with my bare hands, just so I could keep driving, and then I sat there, silent, trying to catch my breath. Because the trauma I was feeling, it wasn't screaming, it was whispering. It was sitting with me in the quiet. It was reminding me of what could have happened. But I drove on, mile after mile, through Pennsylvania, through the silence of the highway, until finally I was in Oklahoma. Coming back felt strange. It didn't feel like home. While I was there, my license plate got bent up, my car was vandalized, and I thought, this is the place I left behind? But I reminded myself I was here for a purpose. So I saw my friends, my family, I hugged them, I went to diners, all the places that made me feel alive, and they loved me. They loved the new me, the weight that I'd lost, the confidence I'd gained, the energy that I carried now. They saw me shining, and they celebrated it. The truth? Inside, I felt nothing. I thought that I wanted their validation. I thought that's what I was craving this whole time that I was in New York. But sitting in Oklahoma, surrounded by people celebrating me, shining a light on me, even when surrounded by love, I felt nothing. Because I was carrying the wreck with me, carrying the stress, and the truth that I wasn't fully healed yet. But I still had a mission, because there was one ghost left to put to rest. You see, we had gotten married, and she had cheated. We'd been apart for a year, and yet on paper, it wasn't over. So, I walked into that courtroom. I sat down next to her. The judge quickly flipped through some papers, signed her name, looked up at us, and said, "Good luck." And just like that, it was done. A year of anguish, of rebuilding myself, fighting tooth and nail to be more than what I'd been, gone in a single brushstroke. But this wasn't just about divorce. It was about redemption, redemption of my name, my identity, myself. You see, when I had gotten married, I took her last name. And when I left that courthouse, I had my old last name back. I drove out to Lawton, Oklahoma, the town that I was born in. I went to Lake Latacanovia. The sunset behind Mount Scott lit the sky in fire. The cicadas sang. The breeze carried every memory I'd buried. I'd walked out onto the cliff. I took my old wedding ring, and I stared at it for a moment. I felt the breeze carrying every worry, every sweat, every night that I slept in my car. I took my ring and I threw it into the lake. I watched the ripples spread out, the ring sinking into silence, and for the first time in years, I felt free. Not because everything was fixed, not because the pain was gone, but because I was truly and finally free. Free from her, from my past, free to be me again. And when I finally came back to New York after that trip, I wasn't the same. The court case was behind me. The wreck was behind me. The name was mine again. But more than that, the story was mine again. When I made it back to New York, my car was full of my old things from Oklahoma and new things from my dad and my mom. I walked into an apartment that was cluttered with boxes and things. It wasn't just a TV, a bed, and a desk like it used to be. Now there's a couch, an entertainment center, chairs, lamps, decorations, and OU gear everywhere. It wasn't just a room anymore. It was home. Because I wasn't that man that left Oklahoma a year ago. I'd gone back, found closure. I'd gone through the wreck, the courtroom, the lake, the memories. and I came back to New York carrying something new. Freedom. It felt like blank pages had been handed to me. Like for the first time in my life, the pen was in my hand. No more writing stories of survival. No more letting life dictate the plot. This time I was choosing. Choosing the steps I take. Choosing the people who stay, the people who go. Choosing the life, the love, the purpose I would walk in. Because for too long, I let circumstance hold the pen. I let heartbreak, betrayal, and silence tell my story for me. But now the story is mine. And maybe the next chapter is university. Maybe it's love. Maybe it's family. Or maybe it's something I can't even see yet. But whatever it is, it'll be something I choose. 'Cause this isn't the end. It's not even the beginning of the end. It's the beginning of my beginning. A story not of circumstance, not of survival, but of freedom. This is me. Finally. When I look back at everything, the quiet kid who sat alone in his head, building worlds because the real one didn't listen, the teenager who discovered the stage and finally found a voice, the young man who fell in love too quickly, got hurt too deeply, and had to rebuild too many times. It all feels like a lifetime lived in acts. Act 1 was innocence and imagination. Act 2 was heartbreak, trial by fire, and finding the courage to leave everything behind. Act 3, wrecks, courtroom, losses, and that final letting go. But sitting there at Lake Latacanovia, watching the sun melt behind Mount Scott, the cicadas singing like a choir in the trees, the sky painted it pink and fire, something shifted. It wasn't just a sunset. It was a resurrection. Freedom. Freedom from my past, from my heartbreak, from the weight of names and ghosts that were never mine to carry. And in that moment, I realized something. Life really did try to stop me. It threw silence at me as a child. It threw betrayal at me in love. It threw fear at me on highways and in courtrooms. But I never stopped moving. I never stopped walking forward, and I still won't, because my faith has never wavered. Through every trial, every tear, every scar, it held me. It shaped me. It reminded me that no matter how heavy the storm, no matter how endless the night, dawn always comes. This isn't the end of my story. It's the beginning of a new one, a rebirth, a walk into freedom, into love, into purpose. This is the first page of the life I choose, and I promise you, every step, every chapter, every word from here on out, it's going to be written with truth and love, with fire. When I tell you that dreams are worth chasing, I mean it. When I tell you that finding yourself is possible, I mean it. When I tell you that this is not the end, that the impossible can be possible, that there is a sunset waiting for you on the other side of that mountain, I mean it. When you reach the summit, when you reach the bar, when you reach the finish line, give yourself the applause you deserve. Love yourself. Give to yourself, because the world is cruel, and yes, it will push you into the dirt. But you are stronger, you are cleaner, your voice will sing louder, and the glass, it will hold you even when it breaks. I don't tell you this from a fairy tale. I don't tell you this from a fantasy version of myself. I don't tell you this to sell you a story or a podcast or a dream. I don't want anything from you. I want you to love you. I want you to be you. I want you to chase your dreams. I want you to become the realest version of yourself that you can. I want to motivate you. I want to inspire you. I want to push the fire that's been buried inside of you, the fire that you've been too afraid to let burn. When I tell my story, I tell it so you know I believe in you. Not because my story was awful, not because it was tragic, because of its beauty, its rebirth, its peace, its freedom. Because if I can go to New York with $1,000 and a bag of clothes and find myself on a lake watching the sunset in the mountains, feeling peace, feeling freedom, feeling rebirth, if I can reach that moment, then so can you. So can you. And when you do, when you finally see your sunrise, make sure you feel it. Own it. because it'll be yours.